he's like, I don't know which surgery to pick and I'm having a hard time deciding. Up. Sheepy's like, I am not a stepping stone. Penelope, are you ever gonna pop, sweetie? Are you ever gonna pop? But that means that now we don't get to fly back for, you know, once we get there, we're there for 16 days. It feels weird to be kind of, you know, like a burden's been lifted.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. We have some major news to share with y'all. But before we get into that, please go down, hit that subscribe button below. Make sure that you don't miss any of our content. Plus, it lets us know that you're enjoying it. And before we get into the major news, we've had a lot of stuff going on the last couple of days. We're going to share a little bit about that with you, and then we're going to give you some major medical news update for Kimberly. Well, we just want to take a minute and say happy birthday to the birthday girl. Abby turns 12 today. She's out here sporting her new mountain bike. Super happy about that. We're going to celebrate her birthday a little more later. Last night we snuck off to the movies and did a late night movie. Saw Goat. Pretty cute movie for a cartoon. We've got to get busy because today is feed barrel fill-up day. But I bought 2 bags because I'm hoping once we get the barrels filled, we'll have a little bit left over to put in the trailer so we have a slight refill whenever we run out in some of them. This last time I just bought 1 and it didn't fill up all the barrels like we wanted to. But I bought the smaller bags because my tractor can't handle the big bags to lift them up high enough to dump them in the barrels, because I'd rather do that than have to shovel it out with a bucket. But we're fixing to go get the tractor, get those filled up, and then we'll tell you a little bit more about what else we figured out at the feed store too. Yeah, you'll probably have to hold this and I'll move the tractor because I locked the brake and I don't know if you can.
Probably not. My leg.
Yeah. When I have the bush hog on, I just set it down for the emergency brake, but the tiller just will roll. check out these girls and how much they've grown. I mean, they have just shot up big time.
Yeah.
This just goes to prove that feed matters. Like I said, it doesn't matter necessarily. You might be feeding the right kind of protein or the right amount of protein and stuff, but if you're not feeding the right feed of everything they need, it's not going to do as good. Because, I mean, whenever we initially were feeding them the other feed, they just were not growing good at all, and they have caught up and are looking really good.
Yeah.
One thing about this feeder, we had a bunch of rain the other day, and I cleaned it out the other day, but the feed gets wet in it. Like, it'll soak up from the bottom, and it'll leave chunks. And I cleaned out a bunch the other day because it actually had gotten where it wouldn't hardly go out the bottom. So they've done pretty good about cleaning that up. But with all the rain that we got the other day, the pan fills up, and the way that the lip is higher than what it is down here, the bottom gets moisture in it, and then it just turns into a big clump. So yesterday I dug it all out. I had to wait till it got somewhat low to do that, and so now we're going to put some more feed in. I'm going to wait and let them get it finished cleaned up before I fill it completely full, because I've got 3 more bags put in there as well, but they're basically out now. So
And look at how friendly they are.
yeah.
A little too friendly sometimes.
Sometimes. Hey, you quit that. Quit that. Quit that.
She's trying to come in from the bottom of the bag.
Yeah, I just can't remember which end of this I need to get. You better not tear a hole in this bag. I'm going to get you.
Girl.
I'm going to get you.
Yeah. Peggy in Delaware, definitely.
They think they're just so stinking friendly.
Let me hold that.
I'm kind of having second thoughts.
I know.
I just don't know. If I knew that we could have a market to sell that many piglets,
Yeah.
then I'd be like, yeah, for sure. But I don't know.
I know. They're just so...
But both of them are just so nice and friendly. There you go. Oh,
And this feed is some good stuff.
Yeah, turn that up a little bit. We're definitely going to be expanding this pen very soon. Either expanding it or moving them. I'm not sure which yet. But they, like I said, with pigs, they don't need a lot of room, but we want them to have more than this because they've outgrown it for what our standards are. Like I said, lots of people grow pigs in confinement, their whole time, or in smaller pens like this because they really, yeah, they'll root up the ground and eat some grass and stuff, but that's not really where they get all their nutrients from. But like I said, we just want them to have more room. But the other great thing about them being in a small pen like this is it's made it where it's easier to make them friendly.
Yeah.
Because if you had a big pasture they could run away from you, then they may not. But they're both good size.
Yeah. And for no older than they are, that's crazy.
And this feed, it is more expensive than the other stuff, but it's really no more than they are eating because I guess they're getting what they need. They don't have to eat as much, but they're really not that much more of a cost than what the other is because than I was expecting. Because I was figuring that this was going to go crazy, but whenever we was doing the show feed, it was super high, and that would have got expensive quick. But with this, they're really not costing us all that much more money than what the other is. So this feed is about 60% higher than what the other one is cost-wise, but like I said, the amount of growth and stuff we're seeing from it's well worth it to us. If we had a whole herd of them, like hundreds, if you're trying to do it that way, it may not be cost-effective, but like I said, the fact that they just weren't growing as good, I think that you're still money ahead by spending the extra money on this.
Yeah, and they're just happier and healthier, and they look good. They really look good.
Plus, I think if it gets to a point, like if we do end up keeping them, we have to raise out a bunch and get a big market going again like we used to.
Yeah.
I think buying this in bulk, not like in a bulk bag, but like multiple bags, I think that they would cut us a deal on it.
Yeah.
Because that's what I'm fixing to tell y'all about in a minute that we found out the other day. And also, for whoever recommended just tying a knot in this to make it work, it's worked out great. Like I said, I went ahead and did it, and now we can just stretch it, which is really cold today. But holds the lid on tight. It didn't, even with all this wind, it's not blown off yet. So many of y'all remember we talked about the Tractor Supply feed versus the PAL and the different color of the feed and everything, just how it looked so much better. Well, we actually did a trial. If we have some pictures, I don't remember if Kimberly did or not, but we'll throw them up on screen. But the eggs colors were completely different. One of them was the real pale like we were telling you about, and then after we were feeding this, they were real rich orange. I mean, a really good colored yolk. And the other great thing, one thing I would recommend about shopping local, we went to our local feed mill that has this brand of feed, and I talked to them, and they actually said that if we'd buy it a pallet at a time, they could do a better deal on it and get us closer to what we were paying. It's still going to be more than what the Tractor Supply feed was, but it's going to be closer and going to make it a lot easier to make that switch. And plus, I won't have to drive 2 hours to go get it, because the price at the actual mill that makes it was going to be quite a bit cheaper than here, but it's also 2 to 2.5 hours each way, and I had to take that into account and fuel and stuff like that, and I had to buy multiple pallets to make it worthwhile. But the discount they said they'd give me by buying a pallet at a time, as long as I gave them about a week's notice, is going to be enough to make it worth getting and not making the trip to get the other. So I'm super happy about that. I'm glad we're going to be able to switch this feed. We got a little bit more Tractor Supply feed to get through before we can make the complete switch to this, but as soon as that's gone, this is what we're going to be going to permanently, as long as things don't change with the pricing and stuff like that, because we are super happy with the way the eggs turned out.
Hey guys, so Kevin had to go to work, and the girls and I are out taking care of chores. We are having just a little bit of fun tonight for Abby's birthday. His parents are coming over, and we're gonna have hot dogs and cake, which I'm gonna show you a picture of the cake that I made for her, because I was kind of proud of it actually. She decided that she wanted a mountain bike theme birthday party this year. She was wanting a mountain bike. That was like her big present that she's been wanting. And so she was like, well, if I have a mountain bike theme, then maybe I'll get a mountain bike. So I'm gonna throw that picture up here so you can see what I did. She looked through a bunch of pictures on Pinterest and came across this one, and that's what she wanted. And I just kind of modified it a little bit to make it the way we wanted. I ordered this little decoration kit on Amazon, so we used some of that stuff, and she put the decorations on top. I think it turned out really cute. But we're gonna have cake, and we're also going to have hot dogs, because that was her meal of choice this year. I let them pick a meal for their birthday, and that's what I make. We usually go out to eat somewhere too around their birthday, but we went to the movie instead, and it was pretty fun. But I figured I'd bring you guys along while I feed all these guys over here. You've already eaten some today. There you go. That was not a full bucket, and it wasn't terribly heavy, so nobody worry about that. But he's doing really good. Always noisy and acting like he's starving though. I'm gonna go check on the cows' water, because main thing, we fed several of them earlier, several of the pens earlier. Hulk, we feed multiple times a day, because Hulk will try to push through panels or whatever. But he always thinks he's hungry. These guys, they're still working on their range cubes, so they're definitely not hungry, but they are all looking good. The girls are still down there hanging out with the bull. They're hanging out with Jasper down there, and so the 4 calmest, gentlest babies are still here. Hey Tubby, what are you doing? Walk away from me, really? Hey Nova. Nova's she's still skittish, but maybe not so bad. Hi, sweetie. Hi. Yeah, she's getting a lot more trusting and a lot better. Ever since Miss Thang left, she has definitely seemed like she's doing a lot better and just, you know, kind of coming out of her shell some. And Bob and Tubby, well, they're eating a lot. Hey, Bob. What's wrong? You just full? You just waiting to see if I was gonna bring anything else, but he has been munching non-stop today. It is massively windy today. Although it's not near as bad as a couple of days ago. Today's Tuesday, but Sunday, oh my goodness, the wind, it would about knock you over. And it's turned cold again. It's not as cold as it was earlier, but it's still extremely cold compared to how it was, because we were actually having some really nice temps. But I think if the predictions are right, Saturday we might actually have temps at like 79, which would be great. Finally have some warmth again. We've only had a few days of cold weather, so I can't really complain that much, but when the warm weather's gone, you realize just how much you actually miss it. Hi. I know. All right, guys, let's get y'all something to eat. Hey, precious. Come on, guys. So everybody here is doing good. I will say that Short Stack has been a bit of a stinker here lately. He likes to try to pick fights with Comet, and he's been chasing Daisy around, so he's kind of getting on some of their nerves, but I don't know. Hey there, Spice Girl. You're so fuzzy. So fuzzy. And Pancake's over there is looking really pretty. Penelope, are you ever gonna pop, sweetie? Are you ever gonna pop? She's still so round, carrying that baby. My word, girlfriend. Yeah, that right-hand side is dropped. I don't know how much longer you're gonna hold a baby, but we'll see. It would help if I knew exactly how far along she is, but we don't quite, so it just is what it is. Hey, Waffles man. He's just over here eating by himself, happy as a lark, and so is Precious. Precious has been very, very vocal here lately, but he's always been a little noisier. You got feet all over your head, dude. I'll leave y'all alone though, because Penelope is really not wanting too much attention right now. Which, if I remember right, Daisy was the exact same way right before she had Spock. She was just, she's always been super friendly, because I mean Daisy was a therapy donkey, but then whenever Daisy was getting close to giving birth, she wanted nothing to do with us and just kind of got irritable. Penelope's never been like, oh, you know, come up and love on you and that kind of thing, but she had gotten to where she was letting us pet her, and now she's kind of standoffish again, so maybe we're getting close. Hey guys. Got babies running around everywhere out here. It's such an awesome sight. Hey sheepy, are you gonna have that baby? All right, now let's go feed. Now let's get some feed. I'm gonna grab another bucket for the other one. They're so funny because they all just kind of hang out together. Oh look, we got two over here by the feed. Two of Rose's. One actually in the feeder. They're so funny. Oh no, all three of them are over here. They're like, we don't know what to do, Mom. Up. Sheepy's like, I am not a stepping stone. You're funny. Oh, look at Cicely's babies. They're the oldest, and they definitely run around the most. Got Sparkle's baby and then the sister's baby over there. They're so cute. And then Caramel's. Caramel's baby's still learning how to get around, so. Pretty adorable though. Yeah, look at those. I don't know. He sat down, but if you can see the little moon spots on his side, that's what I was going to show you. I didn't want to get in there and disturb him because he was pretty happy. Oh, but those two are buddies. They love to be together. You calling for Mama? Mama's eating. Mama's eating, little boy. You're a good little man. Yeah, Mama's over here. She's fine. His mama's right over here, eating some of the feed that blew onto the ground. No, he's wanting to hang out. My goodness. Baby goats are just so cute. I just love them. You trying to tell him to make room for you? Oh, how sweet. I just can't believe how tiny they are, though. I mean, I know they're twins, and Cicely's kind of a small goat, but goodness gracious, they're little bitty. Oh, no. Yep. See what I'm seeing? Little troublemakers in the making. You can already see. Goodness, boys. You better stay inside. You better stay inside. Well, I'm going to get up here and fill up their water because they really need it. It's starting to get low at least, but with all these mamas with new babies and everything, we definitely go through water a little faster than we did before.
Have you ever had it where you had news that you knew you needed, but you never really wanted to have it again? Well, that's where we're at now, because we finally got a phone call back from the hospital, and I'll let Kimberly tell you a little bit about what's going on now.
So the PA called again, which she's been good about trying to keep us updated, but it took a long time to get a call back just because she was having to try to get the doctor and all that, because apparently he was on call and a whole bunch of stuff. But then she also told me, she said they had been mulling it over and had been going back and forth on what exactly needed to be done, because he agreed with her that, you know, the monitor and we could go ahead and plan surgery, but he's like, I don't know which surgery to pick and I'm having a hard time deciding. So they were like, so she's like, this is going to be our plan. She's like, we need to do the monitor, but the reason we need to do the monitor is, it's actually multiple reasons. She said, we need to know which surgery we're even thinking about doing. And I was like, what do you mean? And she said, well, there's a lot of data that comes from this monitor. She said, more than just, you know, changes, you know, if you've got a leak, that kind of thing. She said, it's not just that. She said it can point to some other conditions, like something called dysautonomia, POTS, several other like CSF flow disorders. But then it can also, based on, I guess, subtle changes with different types of movement and different activities, it can tell, you know, how much, I guess, of the flow is actually blocked during those activities, to see if it's something that he needs to do just a plate, or if he needs to go in and redo my entire brain surgery, remove some extra tissue that he's undecided is if it's actually blocking flow or causing issues, but it's near the brainstem, so he's not sure. If he does that, he will still put a plate in. Either way, she said, he feels like, based on, you know, your current symptoms and current report, that you do need to have a plate, because obviously your cerebellum's not doing what it's supposed to do. It's not staying up there with that patch like it's supposed to. And then she keeps talking about, she said, obviously you have a lot of room back there and a lot of bone was taken out, so it's not blocking it back at the base. But she has said this, I don't know how many times, like every time we've talked.
She said a bunch, and then the one that we saw before, it was even talking about the amount of bone that was removed. So that's what makes us kind of think that something's not just quite right with this, because for multiple surgeons to make comments about it, then, I mean, it's definitely, not saying it's wrong, but it's definitely abnormal. Yeah. Otherwise, they would just be like, oh yeah, it looks like a normal decompression. Well,
I actually had a friend who had the same, she had a Chiari surgery as well, and her doctor, who's not a specialist but has done some of these, he didn't pull as much bone off of hers. The scar doesn't go near as high, all of that, as what mine did. I just couldn't fathom that, like, her scar didn't go up to, you know, the base of her skull like mine did. And I'm just like, okay, well, that kind of tells me something. And I've seen, you know, pictures and that kind of thing, and I'm like, okay, mine doesn't look normal. And for him to say it wasn't, you know, a severe case, and, you know, all this, to do as much as he did, it sounds like we went a little over the top.
So according to him, he didn't even do the most extensive surgery that he could have done, because he was talking about the different levels, but whatever he did was more than a lot of people, evidently. Yeah. And it still didn't fix the problem.
Yeah. So that's kind of where they are on this, is they want that data from the ICP monitoring to be able to determine you know, what happens next. And she asked us, she was like, so do you want to like come in now, get this monitor done, and then schedule surgery, or do you want to do it in one visit? And I said, honestly, with the price of plane tickets, you know, the travel cost, everything, I said, if we can get it in one visit, I was like, that would actually be better for us. Plus, I mean, it's time away from home, the girls, the farm, you know, everything. So had to take a time out. The bucket that I normally sit on, I guess it's finally trying to bite the dust. So it started cracking while we were talking.
Yeah.
Okay, so we told her that we would prefer to do it all in one. And she said, okay, well, he's going to have to, you know, look at the OR availability and all that. And she said, we actually have some that are under construction and renovations right now. So it could be scheduled a little bit out. And they're wanting to use a specialized OR that actually has like MRI guidance, I guess, during surgery. And I was like, okay, well, just let me know and we will make this work. So I got a call back. I actually got an email and a call back from their surgery scheduler. And she wanted me to fill out this MRI questionnaire, like super quick. You know, she's like, I need you to do this. Can you do it now and send it right back to me? And I'm like, okay, sure. And it's just the MRI, standard MRI safety deal. Like, you know, do you have metal in your body? You know, all these different things. So I sent that back to her, called her, said, hey, it's done. And she was like, okay, cool. And she said, she's going to be calling you because he's getting things done. I was like, okay, awesome. So, you know, at this point I'm like, I don't know how quick. And I told him, I was like, hey, we better get ready because, you know, we're fixing to have something scheduled. Well, she finally called back and they have officially scheduled both.
Yes.
So we are now looking at the end of April, which is a little far out, but that was the earliest availability they had. But they also had to factor in, you know, the procedure and the surgery.
Correct.
The kicker is that I'm going to have the procedure for the ICP monitor placement on a Wednesday and have to stay in the hospital 2 to 3 days, depending on, you know,
How the results are with that, they said would determine how long, like whatever the data was.
Yeah, and any fluctuations and that kind of thing. Because she's like, you're going to have highs, you're going to have lows. She's like, but as long as you return to like a baseline and it's within normal range, she's like, that's what we're looking for. And then seeing exactly what, you know, spikes it, drops it, all that. I'm like, okay, well, that makes sense. So they do that on Wednesday. She said, ideally, maybe you can be released on Friday. If not, it'll be Saturday. And they have a specialized neurologist that actually in real time reads this and then goes over the numbers at the end, sits down with my doctor, and then at that point he will decide what surgery I'm going to have. So be released Friday or Saturday from the hospital. I go back in on Monday for the surgery.
Yes.
Monday morning, and so either Friday or Saturday I'll know what surgery I'm having. And based on that decision, I'm either going to be out for 6 weeks or a little longer or 3 months.
Yes.
Because just the plate placement, she said it's about a 6 week or so recovery. She said with my job, it could be a little bit more. They'll just have to see how I'm doing at that point because I've been through this before. If it is the big surgery where they redo everything, then a minimum of 3 months is what she told me, because I would have to go back and be rechecked at 3 months and then make sure that they feel like I can perform those job duties, because she's like, you will not go back any sooner than that, because based on the nature of your job, you are, you know, very active and you have to do a lot. And I'm like, okay, well, yeah, that makes sense. I feel like I had a hard time going back after 6 or 8 weeks the last time. So she was like, but, you know, he won't make that decision till afterwards.
So everybody knows the quicker that you buy plane tickets, the cheaper they are. So as soon as we had those dates, we got on there, started scheduling plane tickets, bought our tickets. We were going to get there like a day early. Anytime we travel, you just never know what's going to happen. So we always want to make sure, especially if we have a later flight, that we have a day buffer. And we were going to get there like Monday night, late. And so that's what we bought the plane tickets for. And then the scheduler calls back.
Yeah.
And dropped another bombshell.
Yeah. So she said, hey, I need to schedule your pre-op. And I went, okay. I was like, so what are we thinking? And I was thinking, you know, day before.
Yeah, we were like, can we do it Tuesday?
Can we do it Tuesday? And she said, no, I actually have to have a 2-day minimum, because they have to, check all your results and all that.
Labs and all that too.
Lab scans, the whole 9 yards. And I was like, okay, well, what time? And she gave me a range of time. She's like, I basically have anything from, morning to evening.
Yeah, because initially she asked when we'd be there. We're like 9 o'clock Monday night. And she's like, that's not going to work.
Yeah. So I was talking to him and he's like, pick the latest one possible. He's like, and we'll just move our flight a day earlier. So it's going to be like 3 something in the afternoon now, because that's the latest appointment they had available on Monday. And then we'll have Tuesday off. And then bright and early Wednesday morning, we have to be there at like 5:30.
Yes.
And I was like, okay, cool.
So after that, I get on the app for the airline and start looking at flights, and flying in on Monday is a lot cheaper than flying in on Sunday. And so the tickets were going to be way higher, and I'm like, oh goodness. So we're trying to figure this out. So I'm like, I'm just going to call and talk to them, explain the situation and see what happens. So I call and talk to them. They were super helpful. We like to fly Southwest because so far in all this stuff, we've had to change flights. I can't tell you how many times, and every time they've been very accommodating. So he gets to look and he's like, yeah, to have a similar flying times you had before is going to be quite a bit, like $300 a ticket higher. And I was like, I don't really want to do that. And so since we scheduled it in the afternoon, he's like, I can put you on this flight that gets in like at 12:30 that evening or Monday morning. And he goes, I can keep it the same price for that. And I was like, okay. I was like, I guess we can do that, because since we scheduled in the afternoon, if something happens with a flight where we're going to be connecting at the airport, by the time we get there, I would have enough time to drive us up there if something happened and like our flight got canceled and we couldn't make it. Plus, the next morning, there's several flights going out too. So I was like, worst case, we'll rent a car and drive it if something happens. Because like I said, I hate having to depend on stuff, because whenever you don't have much time, that's when stuff goes wrong.
Yeah.
So I talked to him, and then he's like, but here's the thing you can do. He goes, we offer a thing where you can do same-day plane ticket changes for free. And I was like, really? How does that work? He said, well, you can just go on the app and do change flight. And he goes, as long as it's 12 o'clock or 12:01 that same day, if there's a flight available, you can change to those other flights and get it for no price change. So he's like, as soon as it hits 12 o'clock that morning, Sunday morning, he goes, if you want to go in there and look and there's something earlier, he goes, you can change it and it won't cost you a dime. I was like, that is great news to know, because we never had an idea about that.
No.
And so I was like, thank you so much for that. So he got us the earlier flights. I mean, he got the earlier day flight, but the later night flight. And so we're going to try to go on there that morning, and we're just going to stay up late that Saturday night and try to get whatever's available. I told her, I was like, flying up, we may not be able to sit together, but we've got our tickets coming back, so it's not a big deal.
Yeah. And we've strategically placed ourselves on the return flight. On the way out there, it wasn't as big of a deal.
We got aisle seats on the way out there, because I like to get out and get off that plane.
Yeah, but on the way back, we had to think about, you will have just had surgery. So, we really don't want somebody climbing over me or anything like that. So window seat for that one.
Window seat, and I get the middle.
Yeah, that way there's nobody that can bump me unless it's from behind. And then, surely if we're like, hey, this is what's up, then maybe that will help.
Yeah.
But we talked to them a little bit further too. I had more questions and about what all was going on. And they sent me a 37-page document with pre-op care, which is quite impressive, I will say.
They're very thorough with everything.
They covered everything from medications to take and not to take, a week, 2 weeks before. Even
like what to buy, like household items and stuff.
Yes, and like where to place your items for after surgery, so that you can still, be able to reach things in your kitchen, in your room, all this stuff.
Because she won't be able to bend over.
Yeah, it sounds like for a really long time too.
Yeah.
And then also what to take with you to the hospital. What your person who's, your support person is going to need, or, to think about where all the places are to eat on campus. A whole map of the entire Johns Hopkins campus. I mean, it is quite impressive, I will say, because we got none of this before. And I was having to call, hey, medication and all the things. And then I still didn't ask all the right questions because we didn't know what to ask.
They had a hotel list too with like discounts, but after we got to looking, the discounts really, we can find prices better using other websites and stuff that get you the better deals. But and we're also having to decide too, because the fact that we're having to do this ICP monitor first, if it throws out something crazy, they may not do the surgery at all if they figure out that it's some other condition to do. And so I'm like, I don't want to book something the whole entire length.
Yes.
Because if they're like on Friday or Saturday, be like, look, your stuff's messed up, you got to go to something else.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to eat all that, because it's going to be very expensive, because we figured out we got to stay up there 16 days.
Yeah.
The longest we've been away from our kids ever.
Yeah. And
the last longest time was our last trip to Baltimore.
That's true. But the for the actual surgery, because I didn't go into that, I guess, it'll be on a Monday. And she said it depends on which surgery as to how long I stay. She said just the plate, it would be 2 days, more than likely not more than 2 days. But if I get the plate plus the revision decompression, then I'm looking at least 3, potentially 4 days in the hospital, depending on how I respond and all that. Because she said with it being a redo decompression, she said there's more risk, and it's just, they want to monitor you for a lot longer. And I was like, okay. I mean, I did pretty well, I feel like, after the last one, being released after a couple of days. I had a lot of pain, but...
The main reason we got out of there is because of the terrible care, though. If it had been better care, you'd have probably been better off staying another day or two. But they weren't doing anything for you, so I was like, we can do that at home.
Yeah. And so I'll be in the hospital through at least Wednesday or Thursday, potentially Friday, I guess.
Yeah, they said possibly Friday, but they didn't think so.
Yeah, but then... she said that he would want to see me again Monday or Tuesday to be able to, completely clear me to fly back and all that. Make sure there's no leaks, because that's a big thing, if he does the big surgery, then a leak is the biggest risk factor that would be afterwards.
And that's usually shows up in the first week or so. And so that's why putting it off the checkup to the next Monday or Tuesday was what they felt was best, because most likely we would hate to fly home early and then something happened, because we don't trust anybody here, and then we'd just be flying right back. So
so we said, okay, that works, but that means that now we don't get to fly back for, once we get there, we're there for 16 days.
So my plan is for the first half, there's a hotel that's right across a block from the hospital, that we might do that, because like I said, she'll be checking out for part of that. But the thing is, the beds there are hard as rocks and terrible, which that's not a huge deal beforehand, but she's going to need comfort afterwards whenever they release her till in. So we're thinking maybe booking something, the one close at first, and then for after the surgery finding something a little more comfortable. But we looked at Airbnbs, but the only thing is the cancellation on them is far earlier. So I want something that has a day before cancellation. So if on this monitor, they're like, look, something else is going on, we're not doing the surgery, we can just cancel it, fly back home early, because I know we can move the tickets up. That's not a huge deal.
Yeah. So that's been our dilemma, is trying to figure out, exactly what we're going to do with the stay. We do have the plane tickets, but that is it right now.
Yeah, and then looking at the stays and everything, the cost, it was just astronomical. But then I got to figuring up, I was like, this is 16 days, that's why. And so per day, it's really not that bad. But then whenever you look at how many days you're going to be there, I was just like, because at first when I saw these amounts, I was like, there's no way that's right. And then I was like, oh yeah, last time we didn't stay that long.
Yeah. And
so figuring it up, I was just like, goodness, it's going to be, it's going to be expensive. But like I said, we're going to wait. And I'm also thought about, it'd be a little risky. I know there's hotels around that we could find, but I thought about just doing the first one, not booking the other one. And then they might have some last minute deals where you get it super cheap. But like I said, we may have to stay a little bit farther, but either way, it's not a huge deal.
I mean, the worst case, it would be at the airport, which is about a 20 to
25 minute drive.
Depending on how the traffic is. But you could actually rent a car there too and drive yourself back and forth. Whereas when we stay at the one that's close to the hospital, we would not be renting a car, because I think the
parking is $40 a night.
40 or 42, I think.
Yeah. And then plus being right there, we wouldn't need it. So I was like, okay, that would save us some money there too on the front end by not having a car, because it'd just be, we could walk back and forth even on the procedure. And they have a shuttle too.
Yes.
To the hospital.
A free shuttle.
Yes.
Yeah, so that will help. So we're still working out details on that, but at least something is scheduled. And it's crazy because it feels weird to be kind of, you know, like a burden's been lifted that I've actually got a surgery scheduled, but it's, at the same time, it's like I'm having another brain surgery. I mean, just the thought process is a really strange one this time, but I feel a little more peaceful about this because, you know, before I was just kind of like, oh my word, you know, I have to have brain surgery. I just found this out. But this time it's like I've been looking for this for so long for somebody to actually validate, you know, that there is a problem. But I also feel like we're in better hands now.
Yeah.
Because this is all this surgeon does is Chiari surgeries. Yeah. So he knows what he's doing. It's a really weird place to be like, yeah, I'm having another brain surgery in 2 months. And just to be like calm about it. Because
we were looking for a solution to the problem, but we didn't realize that we'd be doing a full circle and return to the other, because it appears the way they're leaning is it's going to be the full surgery over again, because they keep referring back to some stuff that's just not quite right with it. Yeah. But I think they're just wanting to double check and make sure, because they don't want to do something that's so invasive if there's something else going on, and that's why all of this is what it is. But like I said, it's I don't know, kind of surreal that we're going through this all over again. And I don't really know, because I haven't really looked. I don't know if like a second one is riskier than the initial one, or if it's about the same risk or not. And I don't know that I want to look.
From what I've read, not necessarily, because there's a lot of people who end up with revisions. Mostly because their first surgeon didn't do what they're supposed to do.
But I do feel confident in this surgeon and hospital, because they've been great. And
I mean, she made it clear too, like if they go in and they do the big surgery, she's like, that's the most we would ever do. And I'm like, that's fine. You know, I'm fine with that being the end of the road. I really don't want a third brain surgery. That's why we picked the person we felt like was going to be the best at, you know, this task.
So that's where we are right now. The next major hurdle is making sure the insurance agrees, because all this requires a pre-authorization. So there's always that chance that they send this stuff and insurance is like, we don't think you need this, so we're not going to pay. So I don't think that's going to be an issue, but like I said, it's just one of those things. It's another hurdle we have to get through. So right now we're waiting on that, but we're also trying to make preparations for getting this stuff booked to make sure we have it all lined out, and then also preparing for after the fact, because like I said, she's going to be off work for a minimum of a month and a half, up to 3 months or maybe even longer. And so the fact that she's a contract employee, they don't have short-term disability and stuff like that. So we're just going to figure that out as we go and make things work. And then also being away from the girls that long is going to be hard. Yeah. Because like I said, it was hard this last time, and it was 9 days. And so this is going to be almost double. Yeah. And we told them because, I mean, we don't try to withhold anything from them. Yeah. And, I mean, they knew that who we were on the phone with, and both of their faces just fell. And they were like, how long is it going to be this time? And I'm like, I am sorry. I was like, if we had any other way to not be away from you this long, we would do it. But, I mean, we can't do that. But I just know how rough it was on us in a hotel room as adults for that long. And I can't imagine. They would be going insane. And so they're a lot better here. They stay with my parents. They can still get out and play. They're just right across the pasture from us. So they're still right at home and all that. And they love going down there. But like I said, they just get to missing us. Yeah. Well, and two, I mean, I'll be in ICU. It sounds like for the monitor. Plus, I will have to be there for a day or two after the surgery as well. And ICU does not allow kid visitors. Yeah. So, I mean. So if we went up there, we'd have to figure out somebody else to go with us to stay with them. And it's just not feasible or possible to do. So, because that would be an extra added cost too, with more plane tickets and having to get a bigger place to stay. Yeah. So that's where we are with that, but we're just going to be waiting to hear back from insurance, see what they say, and whenever we get some new updates about what's going on, we'll be sure to let y'all know. And we appreciate all of y'all's love and support, all the prayers y'all been sending, because they have definitely been working, and we greatly appreciate it. And also, I mean, to cover some of these costs, we may be doing a few more ad videos, so if y'all can take some time to watch those, we'd appreciate that too. But I think that's where we're going to end it for today, and we'll catch you next time on Grounds Family Farm. Bye. Bye, guys.